As I walked through the doors of Walmart, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that washed over me. Despite the bright lights and the cheerful music playing over the speakers, there was something off about this place. Maybe it was empty aisles or a strange smell that lingered in the air, but I couldn't deny that I was already regretting my decision to come here. I had been sent to Walmart by my mother to pick up some last-minute supplies for a school project. Being only 13 years old, I was used to running errands for my parents, but this time, things felt different. As I made my way to the back of the store, I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched. I quickly dismissed the feeling as my imagination and focused on finding the items on my list. As I turned down an aisle, I saw a figure out of the corner of my eye. I froze, my heart racing as I tried to make out who it was. But as I looked closer, I realized it was just a mannequin dressed in a Halloween costume. I let out a nervous laugh and shook my head, feeling silly for getting so scared. I continued down the aisle, grabbing the items I needed and making my way to the checkout. But as I approached the front of the store, I noticed the lights were flickering. I looked around and saw the store was nearly empty, with only a few customers and employees scattered throughout. I couldn't help but feel a chill run down my spine as I made my way to the register. As I waited in the line, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off about this Walmart. The atmosphere felt heavy, and the air seemed to grow colder with each passing moment. I noticed that the employees looked nervous and kept glancing over their shoulders as if they were expecting something to happen. Finally, it was my turn to check out. The cashier, a young woman with black circles under her eyes, scanned my items without saying a word. I tried to make small talk, but she just stared at me with a blank expression. As I paid for my items and turned to leave, she leaned close and whispered, "Be careful, kid. This place isn't what it seems." I shuddered as I made my way out of the store, wondering what else she could possibly mean. But as I stepped outside, I realized the sun had already set and darkness descended upon the parking lot. I quickened my pace, eager to get home and away from this strange Walmart. But as I walked towards my car, I noticed that the parking lot was now empty. The few cars that had been there when I arrived were now gone, leaving only my own car in the vast expanse. I felt a sense of panic creep over me as I fumbled with my keys, trying to unlock the door as quickly as possible. As I finally opened the door and climbed inside, I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. I quickly started the car and pulled out the parking lot, relieved to be leaving from that place behind. But as I drove down the road, I noticed that I was being followed by a black car. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease, telling myself that it was just a coincidence. But as the car continued to follow me, I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. I decided to take a detour, hoping to lose the car and make it home safely. But no matter how many turns I made, the black car continued to follow me. My heart was pounding in my chest as I realized that I was being followed by someone or something from that strange Walmart. I finally pulled into my driveway and quickly ran inside, locking the door behind me. I was about to call my parents and tell them what had happened when I heard a knock on the door. I cautiously approached the door and looked through the peephole, but there was no one there. Just as I was about to turn away, I saw a figure standing on the porch. It was a tall, shadowy figure with glowing red eyes. I let out a scream and stumbled back, my heart racing with fear. But as I looked again, the figure was gone. I convinced myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me and tried to calm down. But as I turned to walk away, I saw the figure standing in the corner of the living room, watching me with those same red eyes. I ran to my room and locked the door, too scared to leave or even call for help. I could hear strange noises coming from the rest of the house, as if someone or something was moving around. I tried to convince myself that it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew that something was in my house. Suddenly, the door to my room began to creak open. I held my breath, praying that it was just my parents come to check on me. But as the door opened wider, I saw the same shadowy figure standing in the doorway, its red eyes glowing in the darkness. I screamed and tried to push my dresser in front of the door, but it was too late. The figure lunged at me, its long, sharp claws reaching for my throat. I closed my eyes and braced for impact, but instead, I felt a cold breeze and heard a loud screech. When I opened my eyes, the figure was gone and the room was empty. I ran to my window and saw the black car was also gone. I let out a sigh of relief, grateful that whatever had been following me had finally left. But as I tried to calm down, I remembered the warning from the Walmart cashier. I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever there had been in that store had followed me home. And I knew that I would never look at Walmart the same way again. From that day on, I avoid that Walmart at all cost.